access to so much knowledge, the need for wisdom is higher than ever. We have tons of information making our decisions seem more and more complicated. Wisdom is vital to our world, yet fewer and fewer sources seem qualified to offer it. What if the wisdom of one of the most successful people in human history was waiting at our fingertips, eager to offer us instruction? Ecclesiastes is a peek into the reflective soul of a successful person. What we find in the teacher's reflection is dark and cynical and at times downright depressing. The teacher doesn't offer us a table and warm meal. He offers us a sharp dose of reality and a holy scrubbing. The book of Ecclesiastes is meant to clean us up, to use the harsh brush of reality to scrub away our pretensions and assumptions. It exposes our idols and leaves us on our knees. Many of us feel a sense of meaninglessness when it comes to our career. We spend years of our lives chasing after the wind. Ecclesiastes exposes our vain pursuits and introduces us to a wiser way. You don't have to pay a ton of money or travel to the far ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of one of the most successful people in history. I hope that you'll explore the wisdom of Ecclesiastes with us. Come and see how our faith reveals grace in the midst of toil. Come and see how chasing the wind can become one of our most enjoyable occupations. And together, let's see if the wisdom of Ecclesiastes can transform our work. The wisdom of Ecclesiastes centers on one word, hevel. Almost 40 times throughout the book, the teacher reminds us that life, wisdom, pleasure, work, and a host of other things are hevel. They're meaningless, they're vanity, they're vapor, mist, smoke, fleeting, temporary. Work especially can feel like meaningless toil.
I considered all that my hands have done, and the toil I had expended in doing it. And behold, all was vanity and striving after the wind. There was nothing to be gained under the sun. Wind chasing. That's what the majority of our career feels like. Hevel. Hevel shows up in various forms when it comes to work. I gave myself over to the pleasures of work. I did work that felt good and withheld none of the spoils and rewards I earned. I accumulated great possessions and nobody surpassed my greatness. All the power and prestige that came with being successful were mine, and they were all hevel. Pleasure, possession, power, prestige, hevel. Wind chasing. These realities of these vain pursuits is that circumstances and time eliminate their rewards. Circumstances don't take into account whether or not your pursuits are wise, noble, and righteous. The same disasters, evils, and chaos strike both the wise and the foolish. If you think that doing the right thing the right way will always mean the right results, you are ignorant and arrogant at the same time. Even if you do escape tragedy and accumulate success, that doesn't mean that you won. Over time, even maybe within one generation, most of what you built will be squandered or unappreciated, and given enough time, all that you built will be rendered useless and destroyed. Hevel. Wind chasing.
The teacher says that indiscriminate circumstances and unstoppable time can lay waste to all we've done, and they don't consider whether we were wise or foolish, selfless or selfish, righteous or unrighteous. Circumstance and time always have the final say. The teacher presents us with hevel so that we're forced to ask ourselves, why am I chasing the wind? Chasing the wind leaves us breathless. In our careers, we can feel suffocated and the hevel of work feels like cursed toil. The teacher's cynical approach exposes our work-related idols. He brings us to despair so that we'll reach for a savior. Sprinkled throughout Ecclesiastes is the wisdom of the gospel. There's hope beyond the hevel. There's a calling beyond wind chasing that transforms our careers and our lives. The teacher's hevel leads us to wisdom's pneuma, Spirit, breath, wind, work can be transformed, and toil can become enjoyable.
There is nothing better for a person than that he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. This also I saw is from the hand of God. For apart from him, who can eat or drink or have enjoyment? I perceived that there is nothing better for them than to be joyful and to do good as long as they live. Also that everyone should eat and drink and take pleasure in all his toil. This is God's gift to man. The truth is that work and the things of this world never satisfy the deepest longings of your soul. After exploring all the pleasures this world has to offer, we all find that God alone satisfies the soul and sanctifies our endeavors. God reaches out to man and gives the gift of His Spirit. Wind chasers need to be reborn. Are you always chasing what can't be caught, or are you caught by the one who's always been chasing you? Hevel leads to Pneuma, and breathless wind chasers can be reborn.
In John 3, a wind-chasing Pharisee found his way to Jesus, and Jesus promised him a rebirth in the Spirit. The Hevel of this life led Nicodemus to the giver of Pneuma. The same gift is offered to wind chasers today. Separate from Pneuma, we will always be out of breath. When reborn in the Spirit, we're equipped to enjoy our toil. The Spirit dismantles all of our idols and puts work in its proper place. Once our work has been properly oriented, we experience joy within our toil. Ecclesiastes is clear that the work itself and the fruits it yields are not evil, they're just misvalued. An idol is anything to which we assign ultimate value. Idols can be sneaky, and Hevel is one of God's ways of exposing them. When we feel like we're breathlessly chasing the wind, there's a good chance we've misvalued something in our lives. The teacher's cynicism and despair remind us that Pneuma, life in the Spirit, is the ultimate source of satisfaction. When we're properly aligned with God, He transforms our experience of work.
After looking at the way things are on this earth, here's what I decided is the best way to live. Take care of yourself, have a good time, and make the most of whatever job you have as long as God gives you life. That's about it. That's the human lot.
Yes, we should make the most of what God gives, but the bounty and the capacity to enjoy it, accepting what's given, and delighting in the work, this is God's gift. God deals out joy in the present, the now. It's useless to brood over how long we might live.
To be filled with joy is the hope and promise of the gospel. God doesn't promise material goods or longer lifespans. Circumstance and time still have a hold on man's toil, and they can make our work feel like Hevel. But when we're filled with the Spirit, when we're breathing the breath of God, when our careers have been reborn with Pneuma, the toil itself and the fruit of the toil become enjoyable. The grace of God transforms our experience of Hevel into joyful toil. Idols of possessions and prestige and power are broken, and their meaninglessness is replaced with joy. Chasing the wind can become one of our most enjoyable occupations when we're filled with the inexhaustible breath of God's Spirit. Wisdom teaches us that Hevel draws us into Pneuma. We can spend our whole careers chasing the wind, or we can receive the Spirit of God and become occupied with joyful toil.